Welcome back. We are now joined by Jordan Ingham here, coach of the incredible Port Charlotte Pirates, one of my favorite programs here on Florida's Suncoast. It reminds me of a traditional rivalry that we have in this county. They've got a cross-river rivalry going there. Yeah. They wear red and black. Before we get started, Coach, I just want to say that you guys are amazing. When we've gone to that area and put together broadcasts, a lot of work, those kind of things. Your staff, everybody is just fantastic to deal with at Port Charlotte, and one of my favorite places to go.
Yes,
it's a great place. Coach, why don't you talk about the program? What's coming up this year? Last year we looked at the record here. Troy's got that here. Yeah,
9-3, impressive record. A little deep run into the playoffs, and seemed like Naples was the foil for everybody, but obviously you have those expectations. You have some of your players here. Talk to us a little bit about what your expectations are for this upcoming season.
Well, it's taken a long time. When we started, you talked about 13 years. When we started 13 years ago, there had only been 4 winning seasons in, I think, 35 years. So when we started, it was, hey, have a winning season, and then it was win the district. And now it's matriculated into higher expectations. Like, we want to win a region, we want to make state runs. And, one of the mistakes I made last year, and it was a little bit of bad luck, but we want to make sure we fixed it, was I didn't feel like our schedule had prepared us for that Naples moment. We had some teams that were historically very good that had fallen off, and it turned into a lot of running clock scenarios. And we want to make sure that we didn't go through that this year. So when we got to the Naples' the second and third rounds, we were more battle tested, right, and we had seen adversity and grown from it. So we went with a lot more historical powers at every single year in, year out. Very, very good football programs, and we hope that helps us accomplish our goals as our expectations have risen over the last 13 years.
Great. I noticed that you all played Manatee, which is one of our schools here in Manatee County. It's traditional power. And I can see how you're trying to, like you said, prepare your players with a little more challenging schedule and give them that. How has the offseason been going? Obviously, you guys had an opportunity to get prepared, your weight room. How are those kinds of things going for you all this year?
It was our best offseason we've ever had. We finished with 12,000-pound totals, and our 1,000-pound totals bench squat clean combined, which for a school our size is very hard to do because of the number of kids you're exposed to. When you have the schools that have 3,000, 4,000 kids in their school, that might not be an impressive number, but a school with 1,500 kids, that is. And that's a credit to these young people. All right, they're committed. We had a 98.2% attendance rate from January all the way through. And that consistency is why those numbers were produced. Now, one of the biggest contributing factors that I believe is why we had such a good offseason was because our schedule is so tough. I saw a ranking. I think our district is the second or third toughest district in the state of Florida. 3 out of 4 of us were in the top 4 in the region last year. We're all in the same district. So it's going to be a grind. So I think with the schedule that we laid out and the district that we're in, our guys knew we're going to have to bring our A game every single week, and it's going to take a really good offseason to compete.
One of the questions I have for you, because broadcasting games, watching you guys play, is a family affair there at Port Charlotte. You had the Luther guys. You got the twin receivers out there, dynamic players. I think the Luther guys are finally down the road, but it has a family, and not just in the press box, but the team has a family type brothers vibe to it. You can feel it there, and it's also, you're out there running sprints with the guys. I don't know if you're still doing that. You were a couple years ago at least.
I get to run with the linebackers now. I can't run with the skill kids anymore.
Yeah,
I'm plus 20 from when I started.
Okay,
too many Skittles, man.
But that family, that team, and it's we, and it's a culture that you guys have established down there, and it translate out on the field, and so you keep those families coming in, for 5-10 years, and it's a great feel. I see you got some student athletes here. This guy looks like one of those Luther type dominant guys here as I look in. Why don't you introduce him, Coach, and number 9 here.
Both of these guys come from what you talked about. All right, so Myron Charles and Ben Davis both played in our Pop Warner system. We watched them grow up. You know, just like the Ed Guerriers and the Jamal Streeters.
Oh, yes.
We watched those guys from when they were 6 years old. So it's not an accident. You know, I spoke at the Pop Warner parent meeting 3 weeks ago, and the Pop Warner president made a comment that 48 of our 60 varsity players last year were from the Port Charlotte Bandits. Right. So these guys, they come up, and it's a priority to us to try to keep them together and keep them working together and developing together. And, you know, we're in a unique situation. We have, we're a little bit geographically isolated. You know, you go to the Manatee and the Sarasota counties and the Lee counties, and there's a million high schools everywhere, and there's a tremendous amount of movement. We don't have a lot of movement in. We don't have a lot of movement out. Right. We have guys that care about each other. What we do is very hard. So not a lot of guys sign up for that. We have had transfers just like everybody in the state. Yeah. But if you look at the number of transfers we've had, it's probably less than a lot of places, to be honest with you. Now, there's been some headline guys that have come, guys that want to compete, guys that don't want things easy, and the right guys have come, and we're excited about that. But that culture you talked about wasn't an accident. And these guys right here are the foundation of that. They're two guys that have come up, that have been with us for 4 years, have trained really hard. They're leaders on our team. They care about their school. They care about their program. They care about their teammates. They're really tight. You know, we were talking on the way up. He was talking about how a guy in 2 years ago's group chat had posted a funny picture of a player, and they still stay in contact from their group chat they had 2 years ago. So, you know, I know as a staff we've grown. We're up to 22 coaches now. Wow. We have 3 teams now. You know, 2 JVs and a varsity. Okay. And we're grateful for it. You know, but the opportunity to coach guys that care about their community is rare these days. I was on the phone with a coach in the Lee County, Collier County area that's been doing over 35 years, and he was saying, Jordan, you know, I got kids that don't care about this and that. And I said, Coach, I'm really sorry to hear that, but that's not our case. We got guys that care about each other and care about their school, and I don't take that for granted. I know nobody on our staff takes that for granted.
Good. Excellent. Excellent.
All right, we've got questions from the media now for Coach.
Yeah, good morning, Coach. Talk about expectations. You mentioned earlier that you have built progressively your program to take on challenges. Where does this team this year stand in relation to those expectations?
So I think it's a growing phase. You know, you learn you're the underdog for a long time, and then you get over the hump, and then the challenge is how do you maintain that high level when everybody is when there's a lot of people chasing you when you're circled, and it's a challenge to maintain a high level of execution every single week. It's easier when you're the underdog. And we were that way for a long, long time, and we're going to be that way in some of our games this year. Right. But in some of our games, we're not the underdog. And, you know, there's a lot of books written on, I heard Coach Saban say there's a lot of books written on how to be successful, but there's not a lot of books written on how to stay successful. And we have some things internally that we talk about, that we do in practice. There's a motto we have that we took from Georgia on how to maintain that humility and maintain that edge, because success is not guaranteed, and it has nothing to do with what you did in the past. So I think high school kids that have so much direct, you know, feedback from their phones these days, it's hard to continue to get them to understand that, yes, we had great players last year. Right. Yes, they accomplished a lot, but that doesn't mean anything this year. Right. We have to go earn it this year, and it's actually going to be harder because we're going to get some people's best game of the year, and that's a good thing. That's exciting challenge. So that's kind of the challenges we see.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Talk about the district. Obviously, coming off the season you guys had, you ended with Naples, and then you find yourself where you get mandatory game against Naples now, and within your own district you get Dunbar. How difficult is this district when you compare it to kind of the rest of the Suncoast and Southwest Florida, in your opinion?
It's kind of amazing. You took, like I commented earlier, you took 3 of the in we were at I forgot what class 3S it was. It changes all the time now, right? But we were 3 of the 4 top teams in 3S in the South and put them all in a district, and that's going to be incredibly challenging because they've got great players. Both those teams have several Division I players, and I'm good friends with both of their staffs. Sammy Brown at Dunbar, and Coach Rick down at Naples is a dear friend of mine. Okay, so they're going to be really well coached. They're going to be really tough. South Fort Myers is a sleeper too. I don't know Coach well down there. He's new to Southwest Florida in the last couple of years, but I've watched his program. They do a really good job. They've got good players. So there's not a weak link. Usually you look in a district and you see a team that is undermanned or is developing or new. And I can honestly say in our district, we could put all 4 teams in the playoffs. All 4 teams, I believe. I know Dunbar and Naples have been playoff teams the last couple of years, and South Fort Myers has been right there. So the district's brutal. I mean, I don't know if we've got a tougher one in Southwest Florida, that more competitive one that you'll see. So we got a lot of guys who want to play college football. So I know these guys are excited about it. When you're up on a running clock at halftime and you're talking about, hey, you're going in the game and you're staying out, they don't like that talk. They want to play. They want to compete. They want to play at a high level. So I know our players are very excited with the challenge that we have this season.
And question for Myron. With that schedule, the road to prosperity, like Coach said, last couple quarters, maybe he's pulling you out. But when you see teams like Venice, First Baptist Academy, Zephyr Hills, obviously you already have your district opponents in Dunbar and Naples. How does that excite you for the season, knowing that games you're going to have 4 quarters, you feel like you're going to be in there all the way?
It excites me, I guess. I don't know how to answer that. That's what you want to play. You want to play a full game. I don't know how to answer that.
Myron hates coming out of the
I was going to say.
He's one of the guys I was talking about. So I know you were very excited about the challenge, playing against really good players. And he's traveled all over the country in an off-season 5v5 thing to play against some of the best players in the country because he loves those challenges.
Well, I'll ask this for Myron then. I know we just ran into you. You had a nice plate of food. If I was to come to a game at Port Charlotte High School, where would be the place to eat at?
I don't want this on basic. It's like
He loves McDonald's.
Port Charlotte?
He does. He loves McDonald's.
There's got to be a place to give a shout out and be like, oh, that's a good spot.
yeah, there's not too many places.
Too many.
He'll spend $35 at McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, I don't know how you spend $35 at McDonald's.
Oh, I used to do that.
For one
Yeah.
person, right?
Yeah,
I can do it. I can do that.
Myron, what are some of your goals for this year? Do you have a sack total? And if you could model your game after your favorite player, who would that be?
A player that I like a lot is Miles Garrett. He's very versatile, play outside and inside. That's how I see myself.
Okay.
It's quick. I think I'm pretty quick with it.
Yeah.
What's the other question?
Well, what did I say?
Goals.
Yeah, what are your goals? Your sack total, you have anything in mind that you're looking for?
Just want to be in double digits with sacks at the D-line. Stop the run, I guess, be dominant, I guess. Hopefully win the ring.
Yeah.
Just win.
Good.
All right. And so let's turn it over to Ben here for a second, Ben Davis. And Ben, coming up the season, we're going to wrap things up here. But tell me, which game is the most important game to you on the schedule? And if you don't say the next game with your coach standing here, I don't think he'll be very happy with you. What are some of the big games?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say like one is more important than like the rest of them. Because, I mean, like you can't worry about a team you're going to play in week 10 when you got the good teams are going to play all throughout the year. I mean, some of the big ones, the one you want to hear, obviously, Charlotte, Venice, Naples, Zephyr Hills will be pretty good. FBA.
Yeah.
I don't know. Almost our whole schedule is pretty good teams, I would say. It's going to be a lot of good games.
Yeah, and then we'll wrap this segment up, but if you've ever been there, that's a great facility. They travel well also on the road. I've seen them play in some very big games here in Manatee County and went with some big wins. A fun place to be, and it's a fishing town with a football problem. You know, it's incredible, beautiful. And Port Charlotte is just a fine program. We thank you for being a part of Media Days today, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
We really
Good luck on the season.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right.